From the Wayne County Courthouse in Goldsboro, North Carolina, Wayne Goldsboro Television brings you the meeting of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. The meeting begins shortly with an agenda briefing, then the regular meeting will begin soon after. Please stand by for the Wayne County Board of Commissioners meeting.
Good morning. We're at the agenda meeting, and let's see how we're going. I've already called it to order. I'll be doing the invocation this morning. Pledge allegiance with Mr. Marty. He didn't have to do a handstand. All right. We have approval of the minutes. Are there any adjustments to the agenda, Mr. Wood?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Public comments at 9:15, 9:30, public hearing, so it might be a chip. First one will be on the abandoned junk vehicle ordinance.
Of course, good morning. We covered this in our work session before. We don't really have any other changes. We advertised it in the newspaper twice, and I didn't receive any comments, so we don't really have anything extra on that. On the mobile home park ordinance, I do have a few changes that I missed from our committee meetings, and I would like to go over those, and we handed you a handout there that will cover it.
Okay.
The first one is on 4290, which is going to be page 4. We're going to strike the term junk motor vehicle means that a vehicle that does not display a current license plate. Just strike number 1 and number 2 out. And in the next definition for a mobile home, we're going to strike.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Up at the top of the page.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
4 and 5.
And the page before.
Starts on 4.
Page 5.
The page before. Down at the bottom.
And that, okay, 4, and then you off the next page. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Strike those 2 items. In the next definition for a mobile home, we want to strike the words unless in a park for more than 30 days. Remove those from the definition.
Which one is it under?
Under mobile home, the very next one. It's
Page
in
5.
red.
Page 5. Next page. Okay.
Then moving on to 42-167. We want to strike the term, that's page 12. Make sure that's the only one. Yeah, 42-167, remove the requirement for repair of mobile homes which are left in the park in bad or damaged repair. I think our minimum housing standards takes care of that, so it's redundant to have that in this ordinance. So we're going to strike item B from under 42-167 on page 12. Moving on to page 13, the next page at the bottom, 42-190, registration of occupants. We want to strike the word occupants and owners and add leases of mobile homes and lots in the park. And then strike out the register shall contain names of owners and our occupants. The rest of that statement there, strike the rest of it out. So the park owner maintain the leaseholders of mobile homes and lots in the park. 42-191 on page 14. We want to, item number C, under permits, strike the word a setup permit and an electrical permit, and put required state permits for manufactured homes, because there's more than just setup and electrical. And then add an item D, which requires a tax permit from the county tax office, must be obtained each time a mobile home is placed on the lot. If it's a home relocated from another county, a tax permit from that county is required. Add that for item D. And that's it. Few changes.
Questions?
These items were discussed in our subcommittee meeting. I missed them in my notes and did not have them for the work session properly. We had the rest of it, but I didn't receive any comments on the rest of the ordinance proposed changes either. It was advertised twice in the local newspaper and on the website.
And if we desire, we can vote on this today, is that correct? All right, thank you, sir. Appointment committee?
We have one.
Consent agenda, Mr. Wood?
Okay, we've got a property tax exclusion, page 34 of the packet. This is for Wayne Memorial Hospital. They have bought an office building there, and they are tax exempt, so it's in order.
And about the old Social Security office, is that correct?
That's right.
That's what it is.
Next thing is the Community Services Block Grant application. This is by wages. What you have to do is, it has to be presented to you. So you don't have to take any action, but we do have to have records in the minutes that you have looked at it. And then if you have any comments, we'll forward those to them. Anybody got any questions on that?
That's,
And you'll see behind that, there was a notice of a public hearing where they had a public hearing on it. The next item is a resolution approving a qualified source for obtaining the ethics training. The general statutes require that if you don't use the school of government, that you have to go into session and state that you believe these people are qualified. I believe Borden told you at the last meeting, they have done this training for us several times through the COG and are a highly regarded firm.
yes, absolutely.
And so all this does is take care of that statutory requirement that you find that they are qualified to do it.
Are they in fact going to be giving us our ethics training at the college?
No, we're going to.
I thought we were going to.
We're going to do
Yeah, we're going to New.
Right,
So they're going to give it down there?
yeah.
Okay.
Because they're doing it for the COG, so it would be other.
Oh, for the college. I thought you said college.
No, I'm sorry, Council of Government.
Okay.
Are we going to do it at the college or we need at the convention center? I don't remember.
Actually, I think it's a convention. center.
I don't remember either.
It's on the second, it's on the second floor of the convention.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, just want to make sure I go to the right building.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Allison, budget amendments.
Yes, sir. The first is for the detention center, $9,790. This is to anticipate and obligate their SCAP grant funds. Excuse me. The next one is for minority help, and if you can see, that's a long one. Their funding, this program was terminated by the state effective October 1st. So, and this did not involve any county funds, but it did affect a position which they actually transferred to another vacancy. But this budget amendment is to reverse those funds out of our budget, basically. Okay, for planning, $10,000 to appropriate funds for additional road signs. This is just basically to replenish the inventory that they like to keep on hand for street signs. For the medical examiner, $40,000. We are required to pay for medical investigations and autopsies that are done by the state, and they have actually increased significantly over what we did last year. So the amount we budgeted for this year was not enough. We're having to appropriate more funds. For public affairs, $35,503. This is to anticipate the reimbursement from the city of Goldsboro for their half of the communication director's salary and associated fringes.
What page is that amendment on?
Oh, I'm sorry, mine don't have page numbers.
47.
I'll stop until you get there.
I'm on.
Okay. For the sheriff's office, $500 to appropriate a donation received from Mr. Joseph Beeman. For 4-H, $2,500 to appropriate a donation received for the Robotics Club from Southern Bank. For the sheriff's office, $10,000 to transfer funds. They've had an increase in the number of transports they're having to provide, and also gas prices have gone up. So they are taking that money out of their inmate work crew line item and appropriating it to gas, oil, and tires. For social services, $14,952.15. This is to appropriate the funds for their Work First program, the rope funds that we receive. For the Wayne County Public Schools project, this is to reappropriate the Grantham and Spring Creek capital project. We had not reappropriated that one all the balances from June 30, 16, so that's to bring those balances forward. For the sheriff's office, $500. This is for a donation received from Four Seasons. For $25,300, this is to appropriate funds for credit card handling fees and fuel purchases. This is due to an increase in call volumes and also the rising gas prices. The last one is for the 911 center. And if you will recall, we budgeted for this project for the 911 center in the original budget back in June. And we have since put those funds in a capital project, so we need to reverse these monies out of that special revenue fund. Are there any questions about that one? Does that make?
Let's just move it so we'll be able to spend it as we need to spend it.
That's right, that's right.
Let me get back and ask a question on the one on the school project.
Sure.
When will we spend these dollars? I thought this project was
They
pretty much completed.
they've submitted, I think they've submitted a couple of final invoices, and I believe that should be some of the last invoices for that project. So we'll work with the schools over the next month or so to try to close that out. I think there's gonna be
And we
some.
may not need it all.
That's
We're
the next
Right.
question.
we're just transferring in what was the remainder.
Okay.
We've got, and we'll, when we close it out, if there's funds left over, we'll disperse those out as necessary.
How will you disperse those out?
It'll be according to the original source, so if it was school funds that we use, like sales tax monies, it'll go back into that line item. We fronted, actually, that project $1.2 million to pay for the sales tax up front, so
Right.
we'll make sure we pay ourselves back for that as well, so we'll go back to the source.
Any other questions? Okay, let's move on to, move on to new business.
I did
I'm sorry,
have-
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm slow this morning.
That's all right.
Back on page 55, on the 911, I see where you've got in here proceeds from sale of debts, and in the event we decide that we do not want to borrow the funds and just pay for it, this does not obligate us to actually borrowing the dollars. Is that
No,
right?
this is actually reversing out the budget that was put in originally. Though it was basically put in twice, is how I need to explain it. The first time it was put in under the special revenue fund, that NCPSAP fund, back when we did the original budget. But later, when we did the capital project ordinance, we budgeted for those funds in the capital project fund. So we need to reverse out what we put in the special revenue fund, because it's being tracked through the capital project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Allison, so it had been budgeted twice?
Yes, sir. It had been budgeted in the original budget and then in the capital project fund. Not at the same time. I mean, we budgeted for it in the original budget back in the Fund 225, but then we decided it needed to be in a capital project fund, and that's when we did the capital project ordinance and decided that, we would put in there the amount for the debt proceeds and the amount would be reimbursed for 911. So this is basically reversing out what was put in the original budget. And what's in the capital project fund right now, we will adjust, whether it be through debt proceeds or whatever it may be. We will adjust as necessary, and that's where we'll track the expenditures for that project.
If you decide to pay cash for that, it would be fund balance appropriate.
I was just hoping it had been put in there twice so we could say it's paid for.
Oh, no, sir.
Okay.
All right, any more questions on the budget amendments? Moving to new business then. We got a motion to approve emergency technology and entertainment weekend proclamation. Anybody like to make that motion?
I will.
And then we'll have our audit report. What time do we expect them to be here? Do you know?
I think we originally said 10 o'clock, but I may ask them to come a little earlier just in case. Maybe 9:30.
Okay. Then we'll have Tim Rogers to give us a report related to Hurricane Matthew. You want to hear him now or you want to wait?
You can do that now. We have one above that.
I'm sorry. Did I miss
Selling the
it?
property.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we got that property that we own jointly with the city of Goldsboro.
Right, this is fairly perfunctory. This is a remainder piece. It is not a viable lot on its own. You'll see it's only 44 feet wide. When they have an unusable lot like that, they have a local act that was passed that allows them to offer it to the adjoining property owners for $1. They've done that. 2 of the 3 took them up on it. So since we jointly own it, they need your permission to do it as well. I'd recommend you do it. Otherwise, it's a burden on us to keep it maintained, for the city and county to maintain it. And it's of no value to us.
I'll be glad to make that motion.
Okay. And now to Tim Rogers.
Mr. Chairman, just before Tim speak, you notice that when his people come up here, they have on those little pukey or solid waste shirts. Look what he have on today.
I explained to him I didn't want to take the spotlight away from you guys.
Well, you're looking sharp today. Well, besides that.
We'll handle that in closed session.
Good morning. I wanted to give the board an update on storm debris we accepted during the few months after Hurricane Matthew. Obviously had a lot of damage in Wayne County as far as construction demolition type waste, as far as vegetative waste with tree debris, stuff like that nature. As of today, which luckily we've about got everything now that we're going to get, I believe, from the storm. I think the state's done hauling, and we've got all the C&D up from around the county. So we may have a few other issues that people have called that they still have some debris wasn't able to get to us. We're going to try to work with those folks, but other than that, we're pretty well done. During that time, we accepted 2,459 tons of construction and demolition debris. That was, and this is just the citizens bringing it in to us. You know, we waived our fee for 45 days, and during that 45 days, we accepted all this for no charge. So that's what we accepted from just the citizens. We also accepted 1,675 tons of solid waste. That went actually in our line landfill, and that was, a lot of that was stuff that they had lost in freezers and stuff like that that we couldn't put on the construction and demolition field. So that's the type of stuff we got there. And then we accepted 784 tons of vegetative debris, and that was trees, yard waste, stuff of that nature. That was a total of 4,916 tons. The problem we're having with that now, which I've called several people at the state and they're still checking, you know, there's a $2 disposal fee on every ton of waste that goes in landfill, North Carolina. Well, on the tonnage that we accepted for free, that we waived the charges on, they're still wanting to charge us the $2 fee. They don't call it a tax, which is $10,000, and I feel like, and Mr. Wood feels like they should waive that, and they're not saying they're not going to. Supposedly they're having another meeting, and the gentleman I talked with is they're going to try to bring that up. I don't know why anybody else has not thought to bring that up, but he said he really hadn't thought about it. But I think they need to waive that. There's a lot of counties did this, so they're going to try to work that out, and I think they will. I hope so. We also received 1,853 tons of debris from the city, which we did charge them for that because they can get reimbursed from FEMA. So DOT, when they went around, they picked up all the vegetative debris from the roadside. That was 1,300 tons there. Probably the biggest issue we had through the whole deal was dealing with all the turkeys we received. We by far received more tons of turkeys than anything else. It was 2,350 tons of turkeys in 5 days. Of course, they wanted to get all those turkeys out of the houses, get some new turkeys in there and start, making money again. So, obviously it was important then to get that cleaned up. The issue we had was with the 117 closed, we weren't getting any waste from Goldsboro or anybody else. So we were only getting turkeys, which you can't, you have to put them in a lined landfill. We had nothing to put with them, and it just does not work. So we ended up having to get a couple machines up there and just dig trenches in the existing waste and just bury them that way. Which that was, like I said, that was probably the biggest headache we had. A couple weeks after that, Jason Price from the state called me. Scott Boss with Onslow County ran into the same issue. I think they got about as much as we did. And not having enough waste to put with them. So they got a committee together and we went up and met, me and Scott Boss from Onslow, and they had 3 of the big private landfill operators in North Carolina. And we're going to try to come up with a plan where if that was to happen again, that Sampson County, which is waste industry, could divert some waste to us to where we wouldn't have as big an issue as we had. That was obviously a pretty big deal. We couldn't stop them, obviously. I mean, they had to get them out, but we had really nothing to do, no way of handling them. But I think next time we'll be a little more prepared, and we're trying to get a plan up where we'll have that. Hopefully it'll be years and years down the road, but, and me and Mr. Wood was talking about it, you say 23 tons, 2,300 tons, but it is 4,676 pounds of turkeys in almost 5 days. I almost had a mutiny on my hands, but I do want to say that I have a great staff down there, because it was, when they got to us, you wouldn't know they were turkeys. I mean, they were in bad shape at this point. And for us to be this is something we don't normally handle, but the guys really, stood up and did what they had to do, and we got them in there and got them handled. But it was not a good situation, but, there's a lot of people going through a lot of bad situations during that time, and I understand that. But I just wanted to say that my staff did an excellent job. They hung in there, and really proud of the way they handled that. But I think that's all I got as far as, if anyone's got any questions.
Questions, John? Well, Tim, thank you, and thank your staff for
Okay.
what they did. I know that was a tough time.
Thank you.
It was.
Thanks, Tim.
Number 5, a motion to approve a resolution declaring the official intent of the Board of Commissioners to reimburse expenditures by the county for the Spillman Technologies computer system. Purposes of taxing and financing and so forth.
Yeah, y'all have done these multiple times. This is, we have met with Ted Cole and his group with Davenport about the upcoming bond sale. And Spillman is one of those things we were going to debt finance. And we realized that we had not yet done a reimbursement resolution on that. So that's what this is, so that we can reimburse ourselves. We'll go ahead and, the contract calls for us to pay half in advance, so before we can write that check, we need to have this so we can get reimbursed for the
Okay.
bond.
All right. Who'd like to make that motion?
I will.
There's a budget amendment on the last page as well to appropriate the funds for that project.
And if you'll mention the budget amendment. Then we'll have a work session about the 911 schematic. If we won't talk about any now, we'll just wait till they get here.
I think we just wait.
Okay, I agree. County manager comments, Board of Commissioners comments, reports, and comments. And 4 o'clock this afternoon, we'll be attending a retirement reception for our former clerk, Ms. Marsha Wilson. That's in courtroom 1, is that correct?
Yeah, the big courtroom.
Big courtroom.
And just want to remind everybody, we've got the budget retreat tomorrow at the Goldsboro Event Center.
And we've got lunch today at the Farm Bureau, I believe that's at 9,
Right.
and so hopefully we'll be through by then. If not, we'll just recess and come back if we need to do so.
And neither board nor I need a closed work session, so unless y'all, a closed session, so unless one of y'all wants one, we don't need to have one.
All right, we'll just take a break till time to go to work.
You can say I'm good.